You may ask yourself, how is it possible that getting more leads could be worse than getting less? Well, let me ask you this. If I gave you 100 leads, but all of them were homeless, and I gave you another 10 leads, and all of them was your perfect ideal client, the type of people you wanted to work with, they needed the service you have to offer, they have the money that you want them to pay, and they have the ability to make the decision to work with you, which one would you choose? Well, Terrell, when you put it that way, it sounds obvious. That's the point. So when you're talking about working with people, a lot of times they think, yo, I just got to get anybody and I'm just going to hire any agency. I'm gonna learn to set it up myself. And then they take the time to learn to set it up. And there's a lot of different ways you can go with it. But with the problem that most people don't realize, it takes more than just having the technical ability to do ads, to having the technical ability to set it up. Because if it was just about setting it up, then guess what? Anybody who's setting up paid advertising will win, right? Anybody who's marketing will win. Think about it. There's a lot of people who spend money on ads. Maybe you're one of them, and you have not always gotten a positive ROI from it. I have not always gotten a positive ROI from running ads. My first year, I was trying to figure this thing out. I thought technically, oh, as long as it's set up and people are seeing it, I'm good. I'm good, right? I got to be good. People are seeing it. But that's where the problem is. It's not realizing that it's more than just people figuring out how to see what you have. Like, you have to be talking to the right person. You got to make sure that it's compelling enough. You got to be thinking about your offer. You have to be thinking about the language and the messaging and what your people need to hear in problems and pain points. And, and there's certain persuasive patterns that help people take action, help them see things a different way, help crack certain limiting beliefs that they have, help them overcome certain objections they have. People just think like, yo, because I can set it up. Because I had this conversation with somebody recently, and she was like, yeah, well, I can just go have anybody go set it up, right? I could just have somebody go set it up overseas. And I said, you can. And she was almost like shocked by it, like, oh, wow, you're not going to like try to like get me? You're not going to try to sell me? I'm like, no, I don't have to do that, because it's not about just technically being able to set it up. I say, yeah, go overseas and get anybody to go just set it up for you. But the problem is going to be, is not just because you're running it, because technically you can get somebody $5 an hour from the Philippines or from any other third world country. They'll set it up for you and you can launch it. But then guess what happens? Your ad will be live because they can technically do it, but you'll lose thousands of dollars. You lost more money than you would have had you just worked with somebody who actually knew how to get you results. And she was like, she didn't, it was in that moment that she understood that. And I had this actually with one of my other clients. We're working together, and she was like, yo, I've been working with this company, and they were getting me these leads. She was like, I was getting them. And but she said, once I actually started engaging with them, these were all like third world countries. These was like, none of them was my ideal client. It was like so far from the type of people that I actually needed to help or work with. It was crazy. And I was spending this money on them. I was spending the money on this ad budget, and I wasted a lot of money because of that. And I said, we all invested in things that we didn't necessarily get the ROI from. But I said, that's the price that you pay when you're building a business. That's the price you pay to learn, right? You just paid for that experience to now know that, oh, it's not just being able to boost. It's not just being able to say my ads are running to be successful. There's a whole strategy behind it. Not just even what's in the ad, how many ads you do, the types of ads you do. I mean, it's way deeper than people think. And then they get jaded because they don't get any results from it. And this is why I say you got to work with somebody who knows what they're doing, because that's how you're going to be able to succeed over the long term. I remember one of my early lessons in this was my first. I came into this coaching expert industry like 2015. In my first few years, I was basically just playing around with it. I was kind of doing it. I was working my full-time job. I got a bachelor's and a master's degree. My career was in cybersecurity. Was making some good money doing that. And then I got to a point where I was still doing coaching on the side of my job. And I'm like, you know what? I want to hire this ads agency. And I'm like, because I've been hearing about it for years. I was already struggling trying to DM people and people wasn't responding and I wasn't getting clients like that. I was going out to the live events, but I couldn't do that every day. So I wasn't getting clients like that. I was getting a couple referrals here or there, but it wasn't consistent. So I wasn't getting clients like that. So I tried all the methods. I tried cold calling. I couldn't keep that up because the rejection was it was just like too much. I tried emailing, but then I wasn't doing email right. So the email marketing, so I got domains shut down because I didn't know about warming up domains and every method is work. People don't realize every method is work. There's no method that's like super easy. So anyway, but I said, you know what? I said, I keep hearing about this paid advertising thing. Let me go ahead and let me try that. So I hired this ads agency and we started working together and I was getting leads, right? And I remember this is one of my first ads, if not my first ad. I said, are you broke, busted, and disgusted? Do you not have 2 pennies to rub to your name? Is there too much month at the end of the money? And I'm like, yo, and I'm getting leads. I'm like, yo, it's up. Yes, we getting these leads. I'm on my way to millions, baby. And I'm like, yo, this is working. But then what happened is I started getting on a call with people. And then people were saying, yo, man, I'm just broke, busted, and disgusted. Like, damn, that sounds familiar. Yeah, I just don't got 2 pennies to rub to my name. Man, this is crazy. Yeah, Terrell, this is too much month at the end of the money. I'm like, oh, and I realized that at that point, it ain't like there's levels to this. There's skills to this. It ain't just launching it. It ain't just setting it up. It ain't just doing it and seeing what happens, especially when you spending your hard-earned money to make things happen. So, one of the things that I really try to teach our coaches, I got a program, some of y'all don't know, I got a program that's called PCS, which is the playbook, the coaching and speaking. I've been running that program since like 2018. And then now we added an element where we really focus on what we call quality client acquisition. So this is a whole system around it. And part of that is we have a process on how we get quality clients, but part of that process is paid advertising, right? So that essentially what that looks like is if you're going to run this for yourself or potentially maybe we'll start working together one day, but what that looks like is having paid advertising as what's bringing you the leads, but then I call it flow and fit. So you got to have flow. This is how you grow your business. You have flow coming in, and then that flow, you also have to work on getting the right fit, which the right fit happens over time. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens over time. And this is how in 2020, I went from working a 6-figure corporate job to transition it into this business full time. And I've been full time for the last 6 years. This is how I've been able to help. At this point, we're close to 700 coaches that I've personally worked with and has came through this particular program. This is how I know gurus, like an E.T. the hip hop preacher, like a Evan Carmichael, being able to rub shoulders like Jay Shetty's and a lot of the top influencers in the industry. They know me on a first name basis. Why? Because I've been here for a long time, right? But also it's because I'm good at what I do, and they see the consistency and they see that, this brother knows what he's doing. This is why people invite me to stages. You'll see me speaking. You'll see me on stages. So how does that happen? That happens because I've been able to identify a big gap in the market and a big gap in our industry. It's professional services really in general, to be honest with you, but especially, if you do education, if you do expertise, if you do coaching, if you in this world, a big part of it is being able to get in front of the right type of clientele. And getting in front of the right type of clientele is better than just getting in front of more random people, because more random people is just gonna waste your time, right? A lot of us don't even have time to begin with, right? Think about all of the things that you do in a day. Most people don't have that much time to even work on their business. So think about what you have. So you have your 9 to 5 job, right? You might have a family, wife, husband, spouse. You might have some kids, grown and or young, that's in the crib. You got regular responsibilities and duties to do around the house. You might be taking care of somebody. You might be you might be doing other things, like you might be in school. I mean, it's other things. You might have health issues, so you might be going back and forth to the hospital. It's a lot of variables, right? So when you look at your day, you may only really say like, damn, I only got like 2 or 3 hours in my day to work on my business. Well, if you only got 2 or 3 hours to work on the business, you better be damn sure that what you're working on is very important. And this brings me to the second point that I really want to talk about, is knowing really how to prioritize what is important in a business. Because a lot of times we just doing tasks, and this used to be me. So I'll step up to the front of the congregation and say, I understand this mentality of trying to just do a bunch of things just to say that I'm busy and I'm working on a business. But talk to anybody who's already at a 7-8 figure level, 9-figure level. You have to understand you have limited time and resources. You have to prioritize properly, right? So prioritization is you looking at, okay, well, what is the constraint of the business, right? The constraint of the business is the thing that's preventing you from making money, right? Because anything, when you're making money, then that gives you the ability to afford everything else that you need to afford. It gives you the ability to spend $1,000 a month on ads, because if I spend 1,000, I'm gonna get a $3,000 client. Boom, I just 3x my money in 30 days. Where can you go to 3x your money in 30 days legally? Stock market is not going to do that. There's not many places you can just go and know, oh, I got a system, I'm gonna get 3 times the money in 30 days, right? Potentially. A lot of times we dealing with high tickets, so that's only like one client. You know what I mean? And it's something that you can do, but you have to be willing to prioritize. Like, I had a conversation with a guy recently, and he was like, we've been talking for like 6 months. I follow up with people, we'll see what's going on, I'll check on them, I'll do all of that. And he was like, so I checked him on this time, and I said, well, what have you been working on? And he was like, man, I've been working on, funnels, I've been working on copywriting, I've been working on website, he's been working on like, these different things, right? And I said, are you running ads right now? And he said, no, I can't even afford to run ads right now. Like, I'm trying to hustle so I can make money. And I said, well, you're trying to hustle to make money, but the things that you're working on right now are long-term. Think about that. The things that you're working on right now is long-term. You're not working on, think about it. I said, there's people, everything you're working on right now, there's people who have spent years, 5, 10, 20 years to master those skills. Some of the best copywriters, like a Gary Halbert or a Dan Kennedy or David Ogilvy. These are people that have spent their whole life learning how to write better to get to the mastery level. Right? You talk about click like funnels. People have mastered funnels. But then even that, I said, you got to understand the use of it. I said, the use of it is to when you're running ads. That's because you're getting a lot of traffic to one page. And I said, right now, you're not running ads. So I said, the problem that you're having right now, why we keep talking throughout these last 6 months and nothing is changing, is because you're focused on longer term skills and you need a short term solution. You could work on the long term skills, but you got to realize that you have to spend a majority of your time right now working on things that can get you making money right now, so you can have the leverage you can have the money in order to buy leverage. Buying leverage is buying someone that can buying skills, right? You working with me, I could tell you, look, boom, I could just write the ad for you, or I can launch the ad campaign for you. You're buying leverage. You can get a virtual assistant. You're buying leverage. You can get somebody to take out your laundry and do your dishes and go to the grocery store for you so you can actually have an extra 5 hours per week to put towards your business. You're buying leverage, right? But you can't buy leverage right now because you're spending your time on things that are long-term and you can't do nothing short-term. But you're complaining about short-term bills you can't pay for and programs and ads you can't pay for because you're doing things that's not bringing you an ROI right now. You see what I'm saying? And so a lot of this really comes down to understanding. It's about talking to more of the right people. It's about talking to the right people. And then as you get the right people coming in, then it's about increasing that number of right people. So you always start with the right people. And then as you start to make money from those right people, that's when you get to a point where you can say, okay, I'm going from $10 a day on ads to $20 a day, $20 a day on ads to 40, 40 to 80, 80 to 100 and beyond. There's people that's spending $100,000 a day on Facebook and Instagram ads a day. What are we talking about? Right? So, as you start to see yourself taking these steps, it's just, one day at a time, one step at a time. You don't have to figure out everything right now. It's just saying, okay, what can I do today in order to have 3 to 5 conversations with my potential client? What can I do today to do that? Okay, good. I'll give you one off top. So one of the things that I teach our members is called the 25-5-1 formula. This is something that anybody could do. This is something that you could do right now. 25-5-1 formula is this. You do 25 comments, meaning you go on your favorite platform, whatever platform you're on the most. Go on that platform, find your ideal client and do 25 comments. It shouldn't take you that long. You should be able to do 25 comments in about 90 minutes. Set a 90-minute timer on your phone or on your laptop, and then you go and you comment on 25 posts and or comments of your ideal client. So that means if you're on Facebook, you're in those Facebook groups where your ideal clients are at, right? If you're dealing with entrepreneurs, join entrepreneur groups. If you're already in entrepreneur groups, great. Show me comments you've made. Show me that you comment on somebody's comment, right? If you're life coaching, okay, well, go into whatever your life coaching leans towards. If it's Christian, join a Christian group. If it's moms, join a mom group. If it's health, join a health group. You want to go to places where a majority of your ideal clients live at, where they engage at. And that could be that. It could be on school. It could be on Instagram. It could be on, right? If it's on Instagram, a lot of times you're not really going to find groups. But what you can do is you could find influencers that are the top influencers in your audience. Literally, this is how I got on ET's radar early on. And I didn't really know what I was doing, but I kind of did. So this was, so E, right? He's posting. And he gets a lot of comments. He's getting hundreds of comments. And I'm like, yo, cool. I'm like, yo, like we in the same industry. So I'm like, yo, let me just go in his comments. And what I started to do is I started to go in his comments every day and his questions that he can't answer. But guess who got time to answer, baby? Your boy got time to answer. So I'm in the comments and I'm answering. And these are people that are asking questions. These are coaches, these are speakers, these are experts, these are people, right, who got expertise in something. But I'm just answering because a lot of times when you do that, what's going to happen is they're going to come back to your page, and the people who I was responding, who will respond back to me, these are people that I would message, I would reach out to. Which brings me to the second point, the 5. The 5 is 5 DMs. So when you do your 25 comments, you're going to do 5 DMs. 5 DMs. So make your goal 5 DMs. All really the DMs are is personal engagement. Every day, you need to personally talk to a individual who could potentially be in your target audience every day. Talk to him. Have a conversation with him. We have a particular script that we use where literally you ask a few questions And then the people who are interested or curious, they're gonna want to learn more, and they're gonna want to talk to you. And then that's when you book an appointment. So so I'm doing this, and I'm doing this. This is like before the pandemic. So I'm doing this, right? And not only did I start to see some traction from that, but I also realized that I'm blowing Dr. Eric Thomas notifications up. His notifications is getting blown up. Right? Because remember, every time somebody comment, you get a notification, right? So he was getting notifications from me every day. I don't know how long I was doing it for. Probably, it might have been for like at least like a year. I was, and so then when me and ET, I saw ET at one of his events. He came to I believe the first event, one of the first events I went to. I believe it was in the DMV area. This is when I was in. Was I still in school? I might have still been in college, or I might have just graduated. But this was when he went to the DMV area, the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area. He came out and we met. He was like, "Oh yeah, you Terrell, what was doing?" Met CJ. It was a nice time. It was a good vibe. And then from there, we've been rocking out. Me and E spoke with some stages together. He came, spoke for my audience, and it's been cool. We'll message, DMs, and voice notes. But the reason why I mention all of that is because good things happen when you know how to prioritize what is important in the business. Okay? So that's 25 comments, 5 DMs, and then your goal is to book 1 appointment a day. Your goal is to book 1 appointment. I'm going to tell you right now, you got to get over your fear. If you have one, I could be talking, and some folks could be on here. It's not a fear, but you got to get over your fear of meeting strangers, having conversations with strangers, and talking to them over the phone. One of the things, because I used to be nervous of this too, but one of the things that got me confident about this, I remember Ty Lopez. He did I joined one of his program. I think there might have been like when he was on like the social media. He had like the social media marketing. It was during that era. So I ended up joining one of Ty Lopez's programs, and I'm watching his video, and he said something that actually instantly got me confident. And I said, "Yo," and I really never looked back after this. He was like, "Yo," he had a mentor. I believe, was it Corey Rudel? But it was one of his mentors. And he said one of his mentors was telling him, because he had the same thing about being nervous talking to people, right? Talking to strangers, right? And he said his mentor told him, he said, you will be broke for the rest of your life if you're afraid of the phone. And I said, damn, I don't want to be broke for the rest of my life. I'm like, nah. I said, yo, as long as I'm going to be in business, this is a skill I'm going to have to master. So I said, I'm going all in. I'm like, yo, that's it. That's it. I don't care if I get cursed out. I don't care what happens. I am going to figure this out. And guess what happened? I got more comfortable. I got more confident. So you're going to notice yourself as you're doing these things, as you're making the comments. What you're going to start to notice is that people are responding to you. You're going to start to notice, like, oh, wow, you're going to see your phone. You're going to see a notification pop up. Oh, somebody commented on your comment. Okay, boom. Maybe you did your post. You'll be like, oh, somebody liked my post, or somebody commented. I'm telling you, you're going to see it. And then once that happens, you can say, oh, my God, I can actually create a private direct message. I can do that, and then next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna send a message, and you're gonna notice they're gonna respond to you. You're gonna be like, oh my God, they responded. I promise you, it seems simple, but I'm putting you on a pathway to getting comfortable with talking to strangers, because once you do that enough, you book 1 appointment a day, that's 30 appointments a month. I don't see any reason why you couldn't get 10% of those to buy into your program or your service. I don't see any reason why you couldn't do that. That means you spoke to 30 people, and out of 30 people, you got 3 people to see the value in what you have. That's 3 people. You just got 3 clients this month. Imagine you got a $2,500 program. You just made $7,500 this month. Congratulations, baby. Congratulations. You in the game. You are now a business owner. You are in the game. You exchange your service for money. You are in the game. But you got to be willing. You got to be willing to put in that work. You could be the type of person that all you're going to do is complain. You could be the type of person where all you're going to do is procrastinate and research. Come on, that game is over already. We already know, like, ain't enough research in the world that's going to make you win. You could be the type of person that is, you're just going to, you're going to be the type of person. Oh, let me see. Accountant. I'm the founder of Nurse Accounting Software and just landed my first client. All right, congrats. Just landed your first. What is it? Nanario. Shout out to you. Right. Look, and I guarantee you got that client because you engaged in conversations with other people. I mean, I promise you, is literally that simple. So going really back to the theme of this, right? Is like, I don't just want you to go after anybody. If you notice, even as I gave you these examples, if you even notice, I was talking about even myself, I would find the people who were in my industry that got people who were my ideal client. Going to groups where your ideal client is. What is that called? AKA quality clients. Your ideal clients. Because it makes it easier. Again, I could send you a bunch of homeless people, but that's not really going to build your business. But I could send you just 10 of your ideal clients. And that could change the game for you. All right. So, with that being said, like if you not sure about like how to move forward and you want to learn more of these concepts, a lot of these things I have, if you're not already following my YouTube channel, I'm on YouTube. So you might already be on here, but just, just look through some of the other videos I got, because a lot of the videos I talk about is getting more quality clients, right? Which is the unlock to everything, because you don't need that many. So you got that. Also, I talk a lot. I get a broader perspective of business. I have a podcast that's called the Strategy Room Podcast. So feel free to look at that. This is a podcast that I do, and I interview the most interesting and successful entrepreneurs and business owners and people in different industries. So it's one of my favorite things to do. So we got that launched. So that's been pretty dope. And I do live events and I do trainings. I do stuff like this all the time. So stay tapped in. With that being said, slow motion is better than no motion. Let's work.